Morning you guys, it's Karen and I wanted to give you an update on where I am with keto. I wanted to talk to you about a study that somebody sent me a link to on Instagram on keto not being the best diet or thereabouts, and maybe telling you my favourites, or that might be in a separate video, my keto favourites. So update, today I am 81 kilos. I'm actually 81.3 I think it was. But I'm trying to sort of ignore that point, if you like, because you lose quite a lot on keto, and so it doesn't become as important to know every half a kilo, if you like. But yesterday I was 80, so I have put on a kilo overnight. From Sunday to Monday I've put on a kilo, which is about 2 pounds, and that's because I switched to carbs yesterday afternoon, evening, and I had been doing keto since, did I start on the Monday? Yeah, it started on the Monday, didn't I? So Monday to Saturday, all day Saturday was fine. Sunday morning I had my granola for breakfast, and Sunday I got a McDonald's, but I just got the burger. Sunday night the plan was to have a keto pizza. I make a nice keto pizza and had bought everything for it, but I wasn't feeling very well. I had a really bad kind of muggy head at the weekend. It's something that I know exactly what caused it. It was, I had a friend's baby and I was bouncing them up and down on Friday, and it sort of pulled on my neck. So I wasn't feeling the greatest, and I just was like, you know what, I really can't be bothered to make this pizza. I could have asked Kev to make it, but he would have been taking Watson out for a walk when he got back from golf, and you know, it was just, I said, you know what, let's just have spaghetti bolognese, and so we did. And so it just shows you the fat that I had earlier in the day from the burger, and I have a little bit of cream on my granola. It all piled on, and I put on 2 pounds overnight, which is not unusual for me. Still, I was, I think 83, wasn't I, last week? So that's still 2 kilos. So overall I've lost 4 pounds in a week, which I'm really happy with. I mean, that's a good amount to lose, and hopefully that one day won't set me back too much. Now, I had actually intended on having a carb weekend this weekend come in, because I've said to you guys, I feel that will work well for me. The amount of weight you can lose on keto, to then take a couple of days off every fortnight or every 3 weeks, I think for me will work. You know, I think that will be a healthy thing to do. I can stock up on fruit, stock up on oats and all the kind of things that are good for you, depending on your opinion, and then go back to it. And I always feel like when I go back into the keto, I'm less likely to cheat that way, you know. And it gives me a few days off kind of cooking and preparing everything, because like I've always said, there is a lot involved in keto. If you want, like I said on Sunday, what was the option? We could have had a takeaway, I suppose. I could have just had chicken something, but I didn't want a takeaway, you know. I just wanted something quick, which the spaghetti bolognese really is. We have whole wheat pasta, which takes 10 minutes, I think, and then a tin of bolognese, which you heat up in 5 minutes, and it's delicious. So that's where I'm at. This study, let me see if I can get up the title. So the study that was brought to my attention was the lower carbohydrate diets and all cause and cause-specific mortality, a population-based cohort study and pooling of prospective studies. So that all sounds very complicated, but basically it wasn't an actual study where they fed people a low-carb diet or they fed them a keto diet. It just took data from the nutritional forum, or what are they called? National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, put all the data together and came out with some statistics. But the conclusion of their study was that their analysis suggests that a low carbohydrate diet results in earlier death. But the key is there, they saying that the results are, it's suggested that may be the case, but that more research is needed. That's what they said. So that's my number one point, I suppose, on that study is it is something to be aware of. Now, I'm already kind of aware of that. I'm already unsure of certain parts of the keto diet. It's not so much the lack of veg for me, because, you know, the fact that you can't eat fruit and veg, because I've looked into that, and yeah, that's a whole nother subject. but I've never been a great eater of vegetables anyway. I actually more on the keto diet, I think, than I would normally, because I have cauliflower rice and celeriac and things that, you know, I normally wouldn't. I can go days without having a vegetable. But it's the whole saturated fat, cholesterol, do the cholesterol figures matter? Triglycerides definitely matter, everybody's agreed on that, but this whole saturated fat. Now I have watched videos by doctors and by doctors who have a different opinion, and they say that cholesterol doesn't really matter and that doctors are just not caught up yet on the research. And I can see how that can be true, because I remember saying to my GP when I was on topiramate, which is a migraine drug, I said, do you know if this is a drug that can be used for withdrawal of codeine? I said, because I'm on such a high dose of codeine that if I don't take it, say by some miracle I had no symptoms and I didn't take my codeine, I do get the withdrawal effects, which, you know, the doctors are aware of. But when I was on topiramate, I didn't. I said, you know, it was working for me in that way. I had horrendous side effects, but it was working for my headaches, and I wasn't taking as much codeine, but I didn't have side effects from not taking codeine. And the point was, she said, no, it doesn't have that kind of action. But when I looked it up, it did. And research had shown that actually it was a good drug to use for codeine withdrawal. And I've seen how short on time our GPs are. You know, I've definitely felt more rushed in the last couple of years on the appointments. And I know that they, from the way that they would talk to me, you know, tell me they've got their 5 minutes and whatnot, their 10 minutes, that they were feeling more rushed. And so I can't imagine they have a huge amount of time for research. So I can believe that there is definitely more research than, you know, more information than what the GPs and the specialists know. But also having worked in the NHS, and my boss was a cardiologist, they are kind of at the cutting edge and they know what is happening. And they are not just a researcher. Like my boss was a cardiologist, you know, he was a heart surgeon that did research, and a lot of in fact, most of the surgeons did some kind of research. And so it's difficult to take, you know, one or two doctors from YouTube's advice versus what we all know about cholesterol and what we all know about saturated fat, and believe that over, you know, the general knowledge, the knowledge that we all have, including professionals. I don't know if you know what I mean by that. And it's actually an area where I need to do more research myself. I need to look into and find, well, is there actually any research backing up that, you know, eating saturated fats and looking at your cholesterol isn't really the marker of whether you're going to have a problem with your heart. But I always closely monitor my health regarding my heart anyway, because you guys know I thought that I had an enlarged heart. They thought I had an enlarged heart. Thankfully it wasn't, but I do have an extra beat. I've now got this other irregularity that I'm waiting for. I've had the heart monitor, I'm waiting for feedback. But that aside, I've got high cholesterol, which is genetic. I've got high blood pressure, which is genetic. My blood pressure is controlled, but my cholesterol, I'm still keeping an eye on it. I used to have a machine that I used to check my cholesterol, but that machine no longer exists, and I cannot find one that has good reviews. If anybody knows of one, let me know, but I can't find one anywhere that I can use at home to test my, not just cholesterol, I want to know the HDL and the LDL and the triglycerides. So I have just yesterday sent off for a test to find out what my HDL is, my LDL, my triglycerides. I think there's something else included in the test I bought as well from a company called Medichecks. I'm going to do a video on it once I get my results, because I said before, I think taking charge of your own health is really, really important. And you know, it's not a cheap thing to do, but it's something that I've been doing even when, you know, I couldn't afford to go out for meals. Like even when I was on a really, really low salary, I remember I saved up and sent off for a test where I had to take some of my hair, and it was to tell me if I had any vitamin and mineral deficiencies. So it's something I've always been interested in. So I will see what my triglycerides are with having done keto for quite some time now. Quite a few months I've had keto. I've been doing keto for the majority of the time, and see if it's done anything. The other thing about that study is that it doesn't tell us anything about the data and how it was collected. Like what were those people eating? How low carb was it? And was it a keto type diet where they were eating high fat, or was it a high protein diet? You know, low carb can mean many, many different things, and there's no information there. There really does need to be a bigger study, but I'd always be cautious of research around eating and how that affects people's health, because we are all so unique, and to actually see what somebody ate every single day, all day, it would be very different. There's so many variables. There's just too many variables to me that I think you need to figure out if it works for yourself. Like I said, by being aware, try and avoid trans fats, obviously, which is things in cakes and pastries, which are not in a keto diet anyway, and keep an eye on your health. And for me as well, I have to balance the other conditions I have and the other things I'm trying to work on. And so one of the things is I'm overweight. You know, I am overweight. In fact, I think I'm probably in the obese category. But for my joints, that's the one thing I can do. And my knees are really bothering me lately, really like affecting my quality of life. Like I was in really bad pain after a walk with Watson on Saturday. And losing weight will have a massive impact on that and make for a much more pain-free life, you know. And also with my hormone imbalance, with the sugar problems that I have hyperinsulinemia. This keto definitely will help balance that out, which also contributes to fat loss. And that in itself, having a sugar imbalance and having like polycystic ovary and hyperinsulinemia are risk factors for having a heart attack, you know. And so you've got to sort of balance, well, yes, this is a possible risk, but let's keep an eye on this because these other things over here are more important. I don't intend to be on a strict keto diet for the rest of my life. The keto eating plan for me has been really educational into where carbs are and how high things are in carbohydrates that I wasn't aware of. But it is for me a kind of short-term plan of losing hopefully a lot of weight and getting back to a more comfortable weight, and then eating lower carb but probably not so restrictive, or doing the carb cycling that I am currently kind of doing anyway. So I hope that that's helpful with regard to that research in case anybody is concerned. I know it's not given an opinion one way or the other because I don't really think there is one. I don't think there's enough evidence out there to say, because I think there's so many other factors that can, you know, how big were these people that were on this, where all this data came from? How big were they? Were they obese and that's why they were in a study, or were they really thin, or, you know, what other illnesses did they have? And, you know, there's just so many other questions I'd want to ask. I think I'll leave it at that for now, but I am going to film a keto favourites for you. So all of the things that I've found that just make keto so much easier and so much more enjoyable. I know you enjoyed that little quick turkey lunch that I did for you. I might show you how I make coconut biscuits, which are just delicious, and they last me a week. I've got one left from the batch I made a week past Sunday. So 8 days ago I made a batch and I've still got one left. But that's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well in whichever eating plan you're following, and I'll speak to you again soon.